You know, I have always loved your shooting star quilt, but I have to admit, I've been a little afraid to try it myself.
Erica, don't be afraid anymore. You are gonna love what I have in the Go Cube. I included the shooting star templates for it. So this die is spectacular. No longer you have to worry about cutting or measuring or anything. It's gonna go so smooth. Come, I teach you how to do it.
All right.
We're gonna need fabric for our block. There's 12 points on the star, so we need 12 different colors for each of the point, and then we need a square for the center. And again, I'm going into my 6-inch stash, so you can pull it out of there, or you can pre-cut pieces. A 5-inch square will work very well for it too.
Or a charm pack.
Fantastic, yeah. And actually, when you use a charm pack, it's enough for 3 blocks.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so you could work with it very well. Then we're gonna need a background fabric, and we're gonna need a low accent fabric. The accent is our low glow right here. And I'm using a light fabric, but you could use black, you could use a pink, you could use something that would be a true accent. So for now, we're gonna have this light, and I pre-cut those pieces to 3 by 3 inch squares to be ready to cut with my dies. I am so excited about this.
I can't wait to see this.
What I like to do, you can cut only the blades first, but I like to cut both at the same time. I place my light fabric over my triangle, then I place my dark fabric over my blades.
All right.
And then put my mat. And in no time, because I can cut many layers of fabric at once, I have all my fabrics cut. Look at this. You want to see this.
I do.
So sweet. So sweet. So your triangles are already here, ready, set, go. And then I have my low blades right here, ready, set, go. Look at this. And those are just low leftovers. So I have everything ready to start playing. You will repeat it. If you layer just 2 fabrics, then you repeat it 6 times. If you're doing 4 fabrics, 3 times and you're done. Yeah. And you can do all of the pieces the same color, just like I did it on a quilt in the back, or you can do all different. Using your scraps would be amazing for this one. All right, so I'm putting this to the side, and next step, I'm gonna take my pieces and I'm gonna fold them right sides together. Okay. And remember, we're working with batiks. Batiks don't really have a right and wrong. There is a one side that it's more colorful than the other side, so I like to use that side as my right side. But in case you flip something and make a mistake, don't worry about it, because like I said, batiks, you will never notice which side was the right or wrong. So let's place, and I like batiks to start up with it because they have a little bit more stiffness to it, so it's easier to work with. I fold my blade right sides together exactly in half. Can you see this? This is what I did right here. And now, and I gently crease it by fingers. Do not iron it, because when you put an iron onto it, it will leave a permanent crease right in the middle of your blade, and you don't want that. So would you like to sew a little bit?
I would.
Okay, you're gonna start up right here on the top and sew towards the point. Always start up from the top down to the point, because you don't want to push that little point into your sewing machine. I have another one for you. So yes, doing this with your girlfriends will work great. Let them fold and prep it for you.
Perfect.
And then you can do what's fun.
So we could just keep going.
Yes. And you will repeat it 12 times.
12 times.
Yeah, because you need 12 blades for 1 star.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I have one here that I already finished, and with a pair of scissors, I would have a chain of them, a nice cute little chain. With a pair of scissors, I'm gonna clip them apart and then gently trim a sliver from the point. You wanna get rid of some of the bulk into the point before you take
But not your stitching.
Not just stitching, yeah. Always stay at least 1/8 away from your stitches. You do not want your seam allowance to be any smaller than 1/8. So just getting a little edge off. And what I do is put my finger in, push my seam allowance one way, and just flip it over. And of course, my finger is too big to push the point all the way. So what I like to do is I take a stiletto and I work it with the stiletto to push the fabric all the way to the point and create a nice point. Yeah.
So clean.
Thank you. You have to be nice to yourself. It's not going to be a pointy all the way because it is fabric. So there will be some little bit of in the top, and it is variation of a Dresden blade, but it's very steep, very pointy. So be nice to yourself. Repeat it with every single point. Push your seam allowance right there. Make sure it's one way and your point is stretched all the way to the top. As soon as you finish, you're going to press it with an iron and center up the seam in the back. So that's very important. Yeah. Yeah. So we pressed it and we're going to repeat that 12 times because we need 12 blades.
Right.
All right. I'm so excited about this step right here because now you get to see a glow in your star. I take 2 blades and I take a little triangle. So those triangles, remember we cut it with our die. Let me show you one more time, refresh your memory. This is your triangle right here. All your seam allowances are already included in it. And what I'm going to do is I fold the tip of my triangle, 1/4 inch, then I fold my triangle exactly in half. Then I take one of my blades, I match all my raw edges, just like this. All the raw edges are matched, and this is very important. Notice this, Erica. Do you see this edge right here? This is where I want your point to come up to, all the way to the edge. Yeah, the 2 raw edges gonna stick a little bit above, but this point needs to lay right on it. Then you take another blade and put it right over. Again, match up all the raw edges. This is the point, and this is where we're gonna start sewing. Your first needle should go right onto this point and you sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Would you like to try one?
I would.
And yes, if you're feeling like things are shifting and moving, don't be afraid to use some pins. Just make sure you move them out as soon as you start sewing. Perfect. In the meantime, you're excited about it. You're not slowing down at all.
Okay, I'll stop.
In the meantime, I already have done one for us because I knew I'm going to be excited with sharing this technique with you. What you need to do first is open the back. The seam allowance needs to be open. Most important part. If you push the seam allowance one way, your point will not want to lay. It's gonna fall to one side. So by opening the seam allowance, when you flip it open, this triangle right here wants to lay nice and flat. And remember, we crease our triangle in half. I want you to take this crease and match it up with the seam, and now press. Once you press, you're ready for the next step. I want to take you back one step. So when we took 2 blades and placed them right sides together and put a triangle in between, notice right here the triangle is sticking out a little bit. Don't be concerned about it. This is an area that you're gonna need to hold down to this. Because when you're sewing and you come up to this end, you're gonna run out of the room to hold down to it, and you wanna make a perfect stitch all the way. So this comes handy, and later on, we are just placing a circle over that area anyway. So we
don't have to go back and trim that.
Exactly. And this is gonna come handy, like I said, for all our other steps. As soon as you finish your first triangle set in, you need to proceed to the next one. And let's do it together. You're gonna fold it, tip 1/4 inch, fold it in half, just like I did. Because first we make 6 sets of 2 blades. Now we're gonna make 3 sets of 4 blades. And we're gonna open it up. Oh, Erica, you have yours sewn up.
I do.
This is perfect. Let me open the seam, and because I'm using batiks, they're opening and creasing so nice. Look at her point is standing up, but as soon as I put my finger here, open it down.
Look at that.
Look what happened. And remember this lovely crease? Let's match it up. Look how nice it works. With the touch of an iron, it would be perfect. And what we're going to do is place now, I like to hold this piece.
Okay.
And if I need to, I use a pin. Then I take a second one, place it right over here. And remember that edge? Lined up your little point. It's gonna be perfect. And we're gonna move on into sewing.
Okay.
As soon as you finish sets of 4, you are ready to complete your block by sewing 3 sets of 4 to a 12 pointed star, our shooting star. But the star is not over yet.
We need a center.
Not finished. Yes, we need to place it on our background, and I'm gonna move this one over here. What I did is I took a background square.
All right.
I folded into X to create a low center for myself, so that way I know where to match up my points.
Your points.
Yes, they're gonna match it up with the lines that I creased it. And I'm gonna use a touch of glue. And I'm using a Sew Line glue. It's really nice. And just a delicate touch right here on the corners, just like this, instead of pins. If you like to, you can put a pin in every single blade to keep the block in place. Because now we're preparing our piece to applique. And we can choose hand applique or machine applique. Hand applique would take us a little bit more time, but it's very rewarding, and especially with a project like this, where the edges are rolled up around the edge, really helps, because you don't even have to needle turn. You just take a beautiful cotton thread, and I'm gonna use a Aurifil weight 50, where it's lighter thread, or you can use silk thread for hand applique. And I'm gonna use a tulip needle for hand applique, and I'm going to make nice slip stitches and hand applique my block in place into the background. Now we still have a center to do it. This one already has its center, but how did I do this? I'm gonna use my die that it's included in the cube, and also I have a pattern. And if you have forgot something, you can rewind this tape and watch over, or you can go ahead to your folder, and in your folder you have a step-by-step pattern will tell you everything that we have done with all additional tips, helping you achieve this beautiful block. In that pattern, you will find a circle. That circle is the finished size circle for the center of a shooting star. We will trace that circle to a freezer paper. As soon as you finish tracing, put over your block. If it covers beautifully the center, it's perfect. If it don't stress over. Sometimes things happen as you sew, and if your 1/4-inch seam allowance was bigger, you made the star smaller. So you need to adjust the circle by just trimming it down. But no less, I believe all of you will be perfect. So next step would be taking your die, and we're gonna take one of the fabric squares that we have, because remember we had 13, 12, we used it for our blades, and then we have one for the center, and then we're gonna use it with our beautiful mat. And again, I'm gonna place it, cut it, just like this, and look at this. And did you see how quickly it took me to cut a circle? Do you know how tough it is to cut a circle with scissors? A perfect one? So right here, I have a perfect little circle.
Perfect little circle.
Yes, that I'm going to use my freezer paper circle in the center and turn my edges around. I have one prepared for you. Just turn them around. Secure them in place with a touch of glue, but also I have the freezer paper shiny side up, and it's sticky, so when I'm using my iron, it sticks right up to it.
Perfect.
Yes. So right, this is all done, and it's gonna be perfect for a center of your block. And what you're going to do is hand applique, or you can use for both the outside or the inside invisible thread, and you can use a nylon, polyester invisible thread, really any one you wanted to. I prefer the Aurifil invisible thread, and I use a Macrotex needle, cotton thread in a bobbin, tiny little zigzag stitch, staying more to the background this time, not over the applique piece, and just grabbing the edges of your applique and nice zigzag go around and applique your piece in place. As soon as you finish, you're gonna flip your block to the back, gently cut it in the background and remove that freezer paper out because we don't want to leave the freezer paper inside.
I was just going to ask you how to do that, so I'm glad.
So I always cut it slightly on an angle, take the paper out, and then I stuff a little bit extra bedding into all my little centers into the quilt so they have a little bit more puff to it.
What a great idea.
Isn't it wonderful? As soon as you complete your block, you are ready to put it into the quilt. And if you know how to cut one, you can cut dozen blades, and there's 12 blades. And if you can make how to make one block, you can make dozen blocks. And with our die that we have both of them, you get to do more what you love, quilt, and we will cut those for you really quickly.